Hello everyone and welcome to Total War Through the Ages. We are moving through here to the end of the turn. Of course, except that we're always looking for more generals in our glorious Roman army. So this episode is going to be a bit longer. Well, not a lot longer. It's going to be over the 10-minute mark. However, we actually don't have any major battles really in this one. This is, as the title suggests, this is pretty much just sort of preparing our forces and gathering things up and making lots of preparations for a massive offensive in multiple areas. So the first offensive is going to be against the settlement directly to the south of Carthage. Our goal is to capture it. Our goal is also to prepare prepare to launch an assault against Spain, or not necessarily against Spain, but against Gaul. So the plan was originally to launch an offensive against Gaul. However, well, you'll see in a little bit, I'll kind of explain why that didn't end up happening. So here we have our first army, and we're going to be moving them up, reinforcing it a bit. So we're kind of getting the lay of the land. We see the Gauls up here, and I was thinking, okay, it's time for us to go for the Gauls, and we're going to actually attack them. So move these armies up, and we're going to prepare to launch assault against them. However, you will see shortly why that didn't end up happening as I had wanted. Otherwise, though, we have a large army here, but it's not really anywhere it can do much, so we're going to try and start sending it to the west again. And again, at this point, I'm still in the mindset of, okay, we're going to attack the Gauls. Obviously, we'll have to do some rearranging of our forces once I realize, like I said, it'll be a turn or two. We'll have to get through this. Again, another super husband, great, just more guys. And this guy's actually in Carthage. That was another thing that actually worked great, is that guy we just got actually ended up being in Carthage. As you can see, there's quite a few turns. The turns are moving very quickly here. Now, initially I saw this and I was like, okay, the Senate wants me to leave the region. And I didn't know why, though. I was like, it's the Gauls. We're not allies with the Gauls. And you'll actually see me looking under diplomacy to try and figure this out. So what had happened, and what I didn't realize, so you'll actually probably notice right here on the map, if you look at the map where my army is in that territory, you'll notice right away, the borders are no longer green, meaning it's no longer a Gaul territory, but I didn't notice that at the time, and this was really, really noob mistake on my part. I didn't notice it because I was just going off of, oh, well, I see the flag there. So I was like, okay, hold on, what's going on? You know, I didn't understand this. Also, unfortunately, right there, we have a plague broke out in that place. Again, I'm not going to try and say the name. I'll probably just butcher it. So that happened there. That's bad. Plagues are bad because they decrease the population. But anyway, so I do this, and I'm like, attack ally, hold on. And then this is when I realized the mistake I made. It's right here is when I made the mistake. I attacked the Britons, and I was like, wait, hold on, that's not right. And so I went into diplomacy, and I was trying to figure this out. What I ended up doing is I actually ended up reloading the save, because this was just an honest mistake, and I do want to be upfront about this. I reloaded the save of just the last turn, or actually it was at the beginning of the turn, because I think it auto saves at the beginning of every turn. So as you can see, this is me. I reload the save right there, and I did this again. That's an honest mistake. That's the first time I've ever went back and reloaded. But that, yeah, like I said, this is an honest mistake. I legitimately did not mean to do that, and I didn't really want to, and I don't know. Maybe some people will be upset about me for reloading the save, but that's the first time I've done it for this entire game, and I'm not going to reload saves just because, like, I have a bad outcome from a battle or something like that. But in that case, like I said, it was an honest mistake. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't pay attention. If I had been paying attention, I wouldn't have made that mistake. So maybe it's a little bit cheating because I did kind of avoid having to deal with my mistakes, but either way, I decided to do that, so I hope you guys understand. Like I said, I'm not going to make a habit out of reloading saves or anything like that. So now here we've got our army formed up here, which we're going to be using to go and capture the city to the south of Cirta. I'm guessing that's how you say that. Anyway, either way, I wanted to move this place. I wanted to go ahead and get this army formed up a bit, so we're going to be doing that. And then we have this army here, which we're going to. I almost yawned there. That's not a good sign. So I reinforced this army, and we're kind of going to be prepping this army to launch an assault against the settlement to the south, which we should hopefully capture before too very long. Now, also Carthage is having some, happiness from. So this army may not end up being big enough. Another suitable husband, that's great. We'll always take generals. Leave the region, which was the Britain region. That mission completed. Peace talks with the Gauls. So the Senate wanted me to try and just, I think it was basically, it didn't specify, but I think all I had to do was just interact with them. I think it was just, I had to get some sort of diplomatic, thing done. So I move up here and I'm like, oh crap, it's under siege by the Britons. I can't actually negotiate with them because it's under siege. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just send my diplomat over somewhere else, which is of course what we're going to try and do. However, that may not be meant to be. We still have a plague in that place, which again is not good. Moving on back over to North Africa, we've got this army moving down. As I said, I am going to be building up more forces there in the turns to come. Obviously, I'm out of money right now. And then we're moving back over here to southern France, or southwest of France, where we're going to be moving these two armies here in just a minute. I was checking out the stats of the Arcani there, because I didn't actually know what they were. They're kind of heavy infantry. But anyway, so I shuffling some troops around here. And this is when I also kind of start to notice, I don't think I actually noticed this turn, but I think I noticed next turn, that again, that is actually a Britain territory now. In fact, all these territories that, according to my mini-map, belong to the Gauls, actually belong to the Britons, because the Britons have been beating up the Gauls pretty badly. We have riding Carthage, which is not good, but thankfully they're just really unhappy. They're not actually angry. Yeah, and I got to leave this region, and that's when I'm like, oh, right, crap. Yeah, it's actually a Britain region. And actually, I didn't notice at the time. Now, in hindsight, looking back, and I think I realized here this turn as well. But I kind of was like, okay, I guess that's probably another Britain thing, because again, it already happened once with the screw up earlier. So I'm like, okay, well, this army, I don't need this army. The Gauls are already really beat up. I thought the Gauls were still going to be a potential threat, but since they've been getting taken out by the Britons, I kind of decided like, okay, well, this big army that I have, I'm going to land it, take it on a ship, and send it to North Africa to help in the war against the Carthaginians, or something. I'm gonna do something with it. I know at this point I'm still not sure. I think that's the army I actually end up diverting to go to the Iberian Peninsula. But anyway, I move over here, and sure enough, hey, look at that! It's also controlled by the Britons. Cause yeah. So this mission of doing peace talks with Gaul might actually be harder than I was expecting. And in fact, I kind of like did a quick look around. I was like, are any of these diplomats Gallic diplomats? And I'm like, nope, they're wrong. So this guy right here is the guy who I believe he's the guy who just came of age. So I give him a bunch of principes, and we're gonna, same thing as before, ship him off to North Africa, because that's where the only real war, that's the only war going on right now. Technically, I think I'm at war with the Greek city-states, the gritty states. I am still at war with them, but again, I'm not really involved with that war or fight at all, so just going to be going for Carthage. And I look at that, and I'm like, I don't like my odds, so I send them there, and we're going to build a fort, and we're going to just kind of hold position there until we can get some further reinforcements to try and help, and eventually we'll capture that city. Just going to be going through some building stuff there. Adding a road's always nice. Trying to rethink, what was it? Right. So, we got this fleet, and yeah, that's it for that. Leave the region. Again, everything's fine. And return report. Sending the navies over to get the fleet. So this army is picked up here, and we're going to be shipping them off. I believe at this point I kind of decided that, like, okay, these guys, I want these guys to end up going over to the Iberian Peninsula, over where the Spanish have the settlement that's near Gibraltar. In this army, we were going to try, I was going to see about, I'm actually, at this point, and you'll notice here, I'm trying to find out who's, like, I checked there, like, I'm only at war with Carthage and the Greek city-states, and I actually look over and I'm like, where do they still have a territory? And I think it's Crete is the only territory they have. But I'm trying to decide what to do, because I need to start expanding more. So I start sending this army back, which is kind of funny, because I end up, ultimately, you'll see in a few more turns, I actually end up bringing it the other way. So I checked Britain. They're allies with me, Dacia, and Spain. Dacia is currently the protectorate of the Bruttii, and they're also allied with me, but they're also allies with Britain. So right now, Britain are my allies, Dacia's allies, which I'm also allies with Dacia as well, and I'm also allies with Spain. And I don't remember if Spain is allied with anybody. I think Dacia is allied with the Britons, and I think the Britons are allied with Spain and Dacia, but I'm not sure. But I don't think Spain and Dacia are allies. Anyway, politics are a little complicated. The diplomacy is a little bit complicated. And that's why I kept checking it every so often, because I'm like, I want to find out who's somebody I can invade and take over, because, you know, we're Rome, and that's what we do. So send this fleet over here, pick up that army there, and they're going to be heading to North Africa. Now, these guys, again, at this point, I haven't decided where they're going to go, so I'm just kind of sending them general vicinity of Africa, because that's where I'm fighting. Now, this battle right here, I made a huge mistake. I looked at their army, I'm like, okay, it's really weak. They don't have that many. It's mainly mercenaries. I have the advantage. Auto-resolve. Nope, I lost, and that's a battle that I totally would have won if I'd actually fought it out, but I was just kind of lazy, and I was like, I don't really want to have to fight a whole battle or anything, so I was like, I'll just auto-resolve it. But that was my mistake. I totally deserved to lose that, because, yeah, I should have fought it out. It would have been an easy victory to if I'd fought it out, but no, like I said, I got lazy. Doing some recruitment here, and also the general guy a suitable suitor, I think it was, and we got him married, and he showed up in our capital, I believe. Anyway, so this guy, his army survived, though. So basically what I end up doing is I just swap armies. I'm like, okay, so army that's garrison of Carthage, go and join there because they're fresh, and then all these guys go in, and we're going to just retrain them all. So really, I didn't actually lose any units. Just all my units got, like, basically knocked down to where they were really low strength. So here I just refill some of these guys, essentially just, like I said, just get them up to full fighting strength, because I've talked about in the past why I value having guys at full fighting strength. Actually, have I talked about that? I don't remember if I've talked about that currently, or if I've talked about it in some of the gameplay I've already recorded that I actually did live commentary to. I don't recall. So if I haven't talked about it yet, I'm going to. So just wait. But anyway, yeah, there's reasons why I like all my units to be at full strength. And yeah, shipping this army down. And I think the other fleet, as you just saw, yeah, we started setting them slightly to farther west because we're going to send them over to kind of take out the Carthaginians who are in Spain. And, okay, let's see. I think at this point I was contemplating attacking the Spanish. Oh, not, or maybe not. Yeah, so Dacia is allies with the Britons, but they're not allies with Spain. So I was thinking that maybe I could fight the Spanish, but I wasn't convinced. So, like I said, I start sending this army back over because I'm like, okay, we're going to start sending these guys back over. And yeah, it's these few turns here, and it's actually more than few turns. This is actually quite a lot of time. I edited down a lot of them. Like, the turns go pretty rapidly. I left most of this in. Got a new guy who showed up at Carthage, which is great. But yeah, like I said, I kept a lot of this stuff in because it's a lot of me moving armies around, and I kind of wanted you guys to see what the general thing is, and this also gives me an opportunity to talk about, like, okay, what are our game plans. That was one of the requests I had from Swide, I believe. I hope I'm saying that your name correctly, but Swide wanted me to mention more about. He posted comments on previous episodes talking about he'd like to hear my kind of like what the campaign plans, like what the plans were and for all this stuff. So I was contemplating moving this army over, but I decided against it. And again, I'm just going to send this fleet farther this way because, again, at this point I'm thinking I might actually attack the Spanish, but I wasn't sure. So I was like, okay, I might attack the Spanish, but I'm not 100% sold on the idea. But one way or the other, I was like, I'm going to do something with that army over in the west. I'm going to land it. So I was checking Spain. They're only allied with the Britons. And I was like, okay, well, the Britons probably wouldn't attack me just if I attacked Spain. Though you can notice that Britain has armies in my territory. I don't think I actually noticed this at the time, but I didn't think anything of it because that's actually pretty common for allies to march forces through each other's territories. So I actually was about to go to war with Spain, but then my army couldn't get there in time. Couldn't get there this turn. So I was like, okay, I'll just do it next turn or something. And it actually ended up being a good idea, and you'll find out later why. But we are coming to the end of this episode fairly quickly. I'm looking at how much time we have left. So yeah, this is the main thing we're going to be covering in this episode is the forming up of the armies, and we're going to send them down here. And like I said, we don't have any major battles because we don't actually get to capture this settlement in this thing, but I believe that is something that should happen in the next episode or so. We have the armies on our way. Our goal is to capture that settlement. At this point, I was like, do I want to attack the Spanish or not? And then I realized that Britons have armies in here. And at first, I was like, okay, why do they have armies in my territory? And then I realized Gaul, I think it's the last territory that the Gauls have, is that territory in Spain. And so that's why the Britons are moving armies through my territory, is because they're trying to go and finish off the Gauls who they've been conquering. So I was like, okay, well, hey, since the Britons are trying to finish off the Gauls, I actually wanted to finish off the Gauls, so I sent that army down there. I'm going to try and get them through the Spanish territory quickly enough so that they don't get mad at me, and then I'll be able to do that. But that's the end of this episode. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to check back for more. I actually talked over more than I had video left, but next episode is going to be pretty kind of a big deal, so I will leave you with that. No one would have believed in the last years of the 2nd century that Roman affairs were being watched from beyond our borders. No one could have dreamed that we were being scrutinized as we had scrutinized the Carthaginians. Few Romans even considered the possibility of a threat from other civilizations, and yet, across the northern borders, cultures immeasurably inferior to ours regarded this empire with envious eyes, and slowly and surely they drew their plans against us.